Class Sizes and Academic Outcomes Exploring the Implications of Educational Policy and Practice by Joey, Dominic, and Michael. Class size is defined as the number of students a single educator is responsible for. The teacher pupil ratio is the number of students compared to the number of teachers and teacher aides in the classroom. This includes teacher assistants, educational assistants, librarians, and other adults qualified to help educate students. Large class sizes can be considered as anything over 25 students per one educator, and small class sizes are typically around 15 students per educator. Support availability means that due to a high volume of students, teachers can potentially have a hard time getting to every student to answer questions, help with personal problems, or show the level of care for the students that society has come to expect. Conversely, higher class sizes can potentially increase interaction between students within the class. Group work can contain more students, which in turn creates better discussion throughout the group. However, this can also potentially limit class discussion due to social anxiety from the large class. Larger class sizes often save money overall due to the teacher to pupil ratio. Smaller class sizes mean more teachers to teach the same amount of students.
In any situation where a topic is being discussed, it's important to consider the conflicting opinions of the issue. This is a great way to better understand an issue and expand your view on the subject. The following slides include some rudimentary arguments used for and against larger class sizes. These arguments are broad generalizations that were commonly found throughout sources discussing the topic. So, arguments for larger class sizes. The argued benefits were most commonly that larger class sizes would include a fun and engaging environment, a supportive and engaging community, and there's also more exposure as you have more people to interact with. There's a slower learning pace, which means that there's less filler classes and more essential content is covered. It's also useful if a teacher is loved by many students. With a large class, their impact is much more profound. Other arguments for larger class sizes included that STEM classes that are mostly objective info don't require as much one on one, and their questions can be answered through other means, such as TAs, tutors, and guardians. The following arguments are direct responses to the previous points made. So, STEM classes can still benefit from smaller class sizes as students can still struggle with those concepts. It's also important to remember that not every student is equipped with an adequate support system outside of school. Their only means of learning are through the school system, which means that if a teacher doesn't have the necessary amount of time to help that student, they will naturally fall behind at no fault of their own. Some examples of students who might benefit more from larger class sizes are those who have to deal with unstable households, mental and physical illness, and low socioeconomic status. Other responses to previous points are that TAs are not an effective measure to help a classroom with too many students. There was no increase in academic performance in large classes that had TAs compared to those of the same size that did not have TAs. The following are some extra arguments that were not a direct response to those advocating for larger class sizes. These are some of the disadvantages that can be found in larger class sizes, such as there being a lack of support for students. There's also a lack of general focus in the classroom, as a teacher's attention has to be split more to meet the demands of the classroom. And there's also the difficulty of having to struggle to complete learning outcomes in a timely fashion, as there are more distractions and unforeseen circumstances which can slow down the pace of a classroom significantly.
When we look at the change from large to small class sizes, teaching style is a major factor and influence on the success of the transition, which can be broken down into three categories: why they need to change, why they don't change, and how they can change. First of all, teachers need to change their teaching styles in a dynamic fashion with their ever evolving classroom sizes. For example, quick feedback assignments such as essays that allow resubmissions can be a great tool to teach children the proper concepts and conventions of writing. However, if a classroom is too large, time becomes a factor where students will wait weeks or even months before receiving their marked assignments. Those long periods of waiting are detrimental to a student's success as they may continue practicing bad habits, whereas in a small classroom, teachers can inform students of their errors quickly and effectively within days or even hours. Furthermore, we need to look at why teaching styles do not change even when class sizes do. The answer simply is that schools are institutionalized, meaning that teachers and classes have established practices or customs of teaching. Teachers tend to have a set plan or idea of their lessons that are rarely influenced by classroom conditions, such as class size. Additionally, teachers spend the majority of their time in isolation, meaning they sit behind closed classroom doors and are not observed or observe others. But when conversations do happen among teachers, they typically focus on students, logistical matters, and infrequently on their teaching styles. Furthermore, the need to use textbooks and cover specific content can cause common activities to take place classroom to classroom, regardless of class size. Because of this, there will be a lag between when class sizes are reduced and when teachers change their approach. However slow, providing opportunities for teachers to learn new styles is critical in ensuring real, permanent change occurs. From 1971 to 1999, a study was done on students' academic performances after a 26% decrease of class sizes across American public and private schools. While slight improvement was seen in elementary students, the upper grades that consisted of age 17 and over saw no significant changes. However, this does not mean smaller classes proved ineffective. Test scores are one indicator of a school's success, but another important measure is dropout rate, which dropped from 15 to 11%. This could be a factor for the lack of change in the upper grades academic performance, due to people who typically drop out tend to be on the lower end of the achievement spectrum. In other words, average test scores are being brought down due to struggling students staying in school rather than dropping out. Furthermore, the percentage of individuals who enrolled in college immediately after graduating high school rose 15%. Although this can be attributed to other influences, such as family income level and financial aid policies, it is reasonable to assume that even just a small portion was due to the decrease in class size. Additionally, throughout the 28-year study, teachers' age, experience, education, and salary all significantly increased, which can influence a student's ability to learn. In order to perform thorough research, it is important to not only look at studies and articles on the subject, but also get the thoughts and opinions of people who are experiencing large class sizes on a daily basis. The first two quotes on the screen were taken from an interview with a high school teacher in Saskatoon who has been teaching for over 25 years, who was also passionate about the issues that not only they faced, but students faced as well, with class sizes increasing each year. The ability to ask questions is the best tool for struggling students to use. This, however, is not always possible. Quote, I know that all of you didn't get to ask your questions, but there are just too many of you, end quote. This may sound familiar, since it was our own professor who said it after the visitation of the elder. Large class sizes can be seen in every level of education, such as elementary, high school, and university, which can have significant impacts on both students and teachers. While a complete change in both the size and teaching style of classrooms may take time, it is crucial that we prioritize the start of new approaches as teachers in order to improve the quality of education for our students in the future. Thank you for listening, and please feel free to ask any questions.